This video describes how to use the BCG Event Manager's grid to create meals for your event. The first thing to do is to click the Grid tab so that you can see the layout of all meetings in your event. If you're not seeing the times and dates that you need, be sure to use the day slider or the time slider or both to adjust what you're seeing. In addition, if your meal rooms are not visible, be sure to check the View Meals box like this. Now I can see the Westin Longhorns Meal Area 1, which by default has banquet rounds as its setup and can hold 30 people. So when the time comes for you to create a meal, simply go to the place in the grid where you want your meal to occur, double click, make sure your pull down says create a meal, and if you want to make it a copy of one of the other meals, you can do so by choosing from here. But I'm going to make a brand new meal for lunch. You can change what the name of the function is. In this case, I'm going to leave it as lunch. You can enter your BEO number. Mine is 44326. You can set up what type of meal you want it to be. This helps with classification later. It can be WOM, staff, or SPE. I'll leave mine as WOM. You can set up the start and end time. These are filled out automatically depending on where you clicked on the grid. And normally, the time range will be from the beginning of the event's official start to the end of the event's official end. However, if you need to create a meal that's outside that range, click this button, the Pick a Time Outside Normal Event Times button, and you'll have a wider range earlier in the morning and later in the night. But I'm happy with this timing, and I want my lunch to be an hour long. Also, depending on where I clicked in the grid, the room is filled out for you, in this case Meal Area 1. If I had multiple adjacent meal areas and I wanted to manage them as a unit, I would simply hit the plus and add additional rooms, but I'm satisfied with my single room called Meal Area 1. Make sure your room setup is correct, banquet rounds or whatever makes the most sense. And then you'll need to fill out the packs. I'll come back to this in a minute, but the packs is how many people you expect to be using this meal area at this moment. Again, I'll come back to it in just a moment. You can type in the name of the menu, which might correlate to a spreadsheet or a document that you have somewhere else. And then you can put in comments for the people who are doing the F&B. This is publicly visible to the people who are going to do the F&B work, but you might also be able to be interested in setting up your own private comment which you don't want them to see, and that's what this box, the PRV comment, is for. Additionally, if your meal is having a speaker, for example, or for any reason needs an audio-video resource, come down to this AV Resources section, and you can either set the number of items you need for flip charts and microphones and so forth, or click any of the boxes for these other items, and put in AV comments so that the AV team knows any special things that they need to do for you. Finally, at the bottom of the box, you can see the history of all the changes that have been made. This is brand new, so there is no history. But once changes start to be made, you'll see when the change was made, what user made the change, and what the change was. So I've set this meal up to my satisfaction, but before I leave this box, I'm going to note two more quick things. First, you can copy from another meal that is identical to this one, or that you want to be, that you want this one to be similar to. I don't have any other meals right now, so I won't do that. You can also set your meals into groups so that you can manage them, for example, their start and end times, as a group. Again, I have no other meals at the moment, so I'm not going to be using that capability. Now let's get to the most interesting item, the packs, which is how many people you expect to be serving for this meal. Right now I'm going to go ahead and create this, even though I've only set it up for 0 people, in order to show you this. You can see that the number of people who are going to be in this lunch area around noon would be the people leaving the meetings 1183, 1185, and 1184. Each of those has a certain number of people in them, and I can go and hover each one to see how many participants are in each meeting. But there's a convenience way to get that done, to estimate the size of your lunch. Simply hover the last time before the lunch in the meal area, and it will tell you what the grand total participants are. Look on the left of the black box. It says that there, out of these 3 meetings that it's summarizing for you, one of them has 10 participants, one has 15, another has 5, and there's going to be a total of 30. This is the number you're interested in. So I'm going to go into my lunch, and I'm going to change my packs to 30 people. And luckily my area holds exactly 30 when in banquet rounds configuration. That was a close call. And I'm going to save it. Now the people creating that meal will know what they have to do, how many people they have to serve. That is the quick summary of how to create F&B events that are just food and beverage. In the next video, I'll discuss how to add food and beverage to a meeting that already exists in a room, for example, adding coffee. Thank you for watching this video.